It's the end of yet another tumultuous week for the White House and for Washington. President Trump arrived in Bedminster, New Jersey Friday after his brief trip to France for Bastille Day. He will be there for the weekend. And the drip that revealed Donald Trump Jr.'s meeting with a Russian lawyer eventually led to even more disclosures, like who else was actually in that meeting, including a Russian lobbyist. Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner was also there. And we've learned he submitted his security clearance form a number of times and also added more than 100 names of foreign contacts and updates. Meanwhile, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are trying to push the president's agenda, including a bill to repeal and replace Obamacare and the 2018 budget. Politico congressional reporter Rachael Bade is in our Washington bureau. Rachel, a lot to cover here. I'll try to take you piece by piece because there's a lot of pieces. So how are lawmakers reacting to this ongoing Trump-Russia news? I mean, a lot of work to do, and it seems like a bit of a distraction.
A bit. They would say too much of a distraction. I would say that this is sort of a turning point, I think, for some members, especially in the House. Senate Republicans have more autonomy. They've sort of been a little more comfortable about pushing back whenever a story like this comes out. The Donald Trump Jr. email and meetings, the details that we've seen this week, I've noticed a number of Republicans who have not publicly criticized Trump, at least for a long time since the campaign, come out in basically say this is not acceptable. Lee Zeldin, he's a Republican from New York, big Trump guy, basically tweeted that this email, this thing that Donald Trump Jr. did, was a, quote, big no-no. This is surprising to hear from somebody who has dined with the president and has gone to the White House several times since Trump was inaugurated and sworn in. Also, Trey Gowdy, the Oversight Committee chairman, I talked to him personally. He went on TV and was basically saying the White House and the administration needs to be checked for amnesia. How is this coming out by from the New York Times? Why have they not come out and said that this happened before now? You know, don't wait for, the New York Times to break it. Come out, be clear about what happened, and basically put everything on the table. So they're getting tired of this.
So while the White House tries to right the ship when it comes to Russia, Rachel, a Russian sanctions bill has stalled in the House. What can you tell us about that?
So this is a bill that the Senate passed more than a month ago now, 98-2. So pretty much almost unanimously supported by Republicans and Democrats. Since it's come to the House, Republican leadership has not brought it up. And first, there were a lot of technical issues they said they needed to fix, but it sort of dragged out from 1 week to the next week to a third week. And now Russia hawks in the House, both Republicans and Democrats, are getting a little fed up with how long it's taking to pass this thing. Meanwhile, the White House has been doing this sort of covert lobbying campaign with certain members in the House, trying to get them to water down this bill so they can potentially lessen sanctions on Russia should they need to. Now, a lot of members do not want them to have that authority, especially right now with everything that's being investigated in terms of the relationship between the White House and Russia. So I think that at some point things are going to come to a head. I'm told, leadership sources tell me they do not think this bill can be watered down because politically there is no will for that right now for Republicans. They want to be tough on Russia, especially in light of what's happening at the White House right now.
So from bills to the budget, you've reported the White House is bringing in the big guns now to whip enough Republican House members to pass a budget. What's dividing the House GOP?
It's sort of, deja vu all over again with the repeal bill. You have conservatives that want one thing. You have moderates who want the exact opposite thing. Right now, leadership is concerned about the House Freedom Caucus, which should sound very familiar to everyone. The Freedom Caucus does not like this budget because they say it doesn't cut enough spending, and they also want leadership to commit to certain tax details that are pretty far off in the future. This is the tax bill. They're talking about doing it in the fall. Leadership wants to move this budget before they go on August recess. But the Freedom Caucus, the conservatives, are saying, we're not going to vote for this until you give us details. So what Paul Ryan and Kevin McCarthy have done is said, hey, guys, to the White House, come over and help us get this passed. We need it for tax reform. Until we actually pass a budget, we cannot even start tax reform. So Mike Pence, the vice president, Mick Mulvaney, who used to be a